The end of the world, apocalypses of the past and future.
The end of the world is a topic that is always relevant. Each year, scientists make various assumptions about how the Earth's life will end: vacuum collapse, the advent of ancient deities, environmental disaster, and so on. NASA now receives dozens of letters every day from people who are afraid of the end of the world. Allegedly, the upcoming apocalypse is a bonanza for companies that have caught the wave. Hollywood has already released more than a dozen films speculating on our fears of the unknown. On the idea of the coming end of the world, and construction companies. Worried people try to find salvation guidelines. Underground structures are in great demand, which are supposedly able to save from trouble. One place in the bunker costs an average of $50,000. The business of their builders is booming. Here is a peculiar rating of doomsday versions from antiquity to the present day.
Sumerians.
About 6,000 years ago, in the area of Mesopotamia, a highly developed civilization appeared with all the attributes that speak of its high organization. A monarchy, a bicameral system of elected deputies and civic councils, judges and jury trials, concepts and beliefs, which, surprisingly, form the foundation of our modern culture. It turns out that the Sumerians knew what our solar system looks like from space. They described in detail all the planets down to the color of each. Between Jupiter and Mars, the Sumerians placed another planet, which they called Nibiru. According to their description, this is a huge planet that rotates in the opposite direction with respect to other planets. It has an extremely elongated and oblique elliptical orbit and passes through our solar system every 3,600 years. The Sumerians believed that the planet Nibiru was inhabited by conscious beings, Nephilim or Anunnaki. Their life expectancy was 360,000 Earth years. They were real giants, women from 3 to 3.7 meters tall, and men from 4 to 5 meters. Now Nibiru is located 40 million kilometers from Earth, and this is the same distance as to Venus, that is, very close. Based on modern science, the appearance of another planet in our solar system is an inevitable natural disaster, the end of the world. Cassandra. One of the most famous soothsayers in history who predicted the death of all living things was the ancient Greek priestess Cassandra. According to legend, among the not optimistic prophecies of Cassandra was the fall of Troy, which was supposed to happen through the fault of the son of the shepherd Paris and Princess Helena. They write that Cassandra also spoke about the end of the world, but did not give the exact date of the apocalypse. Even the ancient Greek prophetess was famous for the fact that no one believed her predictions, which always came true. Today, everything is exactly the opposite. Every new version of the apocalypse, no matter how absurd it may be, invariably causes panic throughout the world. Prophets of the Roman Empire. Soothsayers who lived during the time of the Roman Empire associated the whole world with it. Therefore, the apocalypse in their understanding was the fall of Roman civilization. Most of the prophets unanimously reiterated that the reign of ubiquitous debauchery, luxury and laziness would destroy the empire. They said that under the weight of these vices the state would fall apart by itself. These predictions were not destined to come true. As you know, Rome was destroyed by barbarians. Newton. Isaac Newton, the world-famous scientist who laid the foundations of modern physics, astronomy, mathematics and optics, calculated the exact date of the apocalypse. One of the manuscripts contains a forecast that the end of the world will come in 2060.
This terrible event will happen 1260 years after the formation of the Holy Roman Empire by Charlemagne in 800. In his calculations, Newton used the mysterious book of the prophet Daniel, predicting the time of the coming of the Messiah.
Newton was convinced that ancient texts hide special knowledge.
He believed that the book of the prophet Daniel covers the preliterate history of the world and that the divine mission of the scientist is to decipher it.
The end of the world will be preceded by destructive wars and global epidemics. Then the Messiah, who will rule the planet for a millennium, should descend to Earth. The beginning of the 20th century.
The most popular version of the apocalypse at the beginning of the 20th century was the collision of the Earth with the comet of Halley. All European newspapers wrote about this.
Fortunately, the giant tail of the cosmic devil has bypassed our planet.
In this version of the end of the world, mostly Philistines believed. Those who related themselves to the intellectual elite of society were influenced by Spengler's writings on the decline of Europe and reasoned about the spiritual apocalypse. Spiritual values will be replaced by materialism, atheism, and the decline of moral principles, as a result of which people will return to a primitive animal state. Some modern philosophers believe that the Spengler end of the world has long come.
It's just that few people noticed.
Today, we bring to your attention some possible scenarios of the development of events with their refutation. One. Collision with a giant asteroid.
This could really be the reason for the end of the world, if not for one circumstance.
The modern development of observational astronomy has gone so far that scientists simply will not be able to miss such an object.
By the way, the apocalyptic asteroid itself, in order to be able to collide with the Earth and cause the end of the world in 2012, must already be within the solar system, and this space is scanned not only by orbital telescopes, but also by numerous astronomy lovers in many countries of the world.
So the end of the world,
similar in scenario to the film Armageddon, is ruled out, due to its low probability.
2. Changes in the magnetic field of the Sun. There is nothing new in this. The Sun has existed for millions of years with an 11-year cycle of sunspots controlled by an ever-changing magnetic field.
And, despite the fact that the peak of the cycle falls on 2012-2013, and is expected to be % stronger than the previous one, there is nothing terrible about this.
In the history of the Earth, the strongest flash was in 2003, when the Sun ejected 1 billion tons of plasma, but we are still alive. 3.
The Earth's magnetic fields will change places. Over the course of the Earth's history, this has happened thousands of times. The last time such a castling occurred 800,000 years ago, and our ancestors who lived in the caves survived.
So we will survive. 4. The inclination of the Earth's axis will change. Unlike Mars, in the history of which the displacement of the axes is common, the Earth's axis supports the gravitational field of the Moon.
For the tilt to change, the Earth must collide with a celestial body the size of Mars. In the near future, nothing of the kind is expected.
5. The Sun will be in line with the galactic equator during the winter solstice.
These are just the coordinates of the space map. This phenomenon occurs at intervals of million years. The result may be the appearance of a larger number of comets directed to the Earth, but this will not happen in one day. The consequences will manifest for thousands of years.
6. The influence of a black hole in the center of the galaxy. The Massachusetts of a black hole is millions of times smaller than the Milky Way, and its gravitational effect on the galaxy is negligible. The collision of the Milky Way with the Andromeda Galaxy will release gas into a black hole, which will burn like a quasar.
But before that we must wait at least another billion years.
7. The collision of the Earth with the planet Nibiru.
In science fiction stories you can find something similar, but in reality the existence of Nibiru has not yet been proved. So far this is only an assumption.
8.
Irradiation of the Earth by supernova stars. Near the Earth there is not a single star whose explosion can adversely affect the planet. The red giant Betelgeuse, which is supposed to explode after 1,000 years, could become such a supernova.
But a gamma-ray beam does not threaten our planet with anything terrible. 9.
A cloud of negative energy will absorb the solar system.
Dark energy is in every corner of the galaxy, but it is not going to the clouds.
The same can be said of dark matter.
10. Global warming. This is the undisputed leader in the apocalypse variants that are popular today.
They say that over 20-50 years the temperature on Earth will increase significantly, floods will destroy crops, hunger and epidemics of various diseases will cover the world.
However, many scientists argue that global warming is nothing more than a myth that benefits politicians and entire countries developing alternative energy sources.
Well, you can prepare for the worst, or you can just live for today.
Like and subscribe. It will be more interesting further.